Guys, Google just cooked. They just released the newest and best model, Gemini 3, and we are going to compare it to the other coding models for like software development because it's what we do, and see, which one you should use, which one is the best. So let's go.
Let's go over the benchmarks first. So, like, let's do theory first, because benchmarks are very important and people give them a lot of importance when a new model comes out. So basically these are like test questions that um, evaluate how intelligent or how good AI models are in different kinds of tasks. So you have humanities last exam, which is academic reasonings like PhD level questions and so on. Some other logic questions such as ArcAGI and so on. And as you can see, Gemini 3 Pro is doing the best in all of the categories with a margin, except for the SWE bench, which is the software agentic coding. So like this is oriented to agents that do coding basically. And it's basically where Claude Sonnet 4.5 and Claude models in general specialize, because it brings them a lot of revenue with Claude Code. So they beat Gemini 3 by 1% there, but as you can see, it's very, very good. Like, as you can see, Gemini 3 is very, very good in all categories. So, yeah, I mean, this is just theory. But then when you try the model and you see the kinds of responses you get and the kinds of suggestions that it makes and so on, it also feels more intelligent. It feels like smarter. It's just taste. And, after you talk to these guys, to these models for hours and hours, you kind of get this kind of taste of how these models go. So since we're specializing in coding, right, we'll go and look at some other coding specialized benchmarks, right? So if we go to Next.js, which is a front-end framework for coding, they do many tests with, different AI models. So here they are rating the different agents that are available out there. As you can see, Claude is again the best. And here you might see Gemini that is a bit lacking, but then if we go to the model performance results, which is actually what matters, Gemini is at the top with 42%. So, yeah, and here, they try different things that you can do within the Next.js framework, right? Such as using the router, using route handlers, loading UI, coding middleware, whatever. All these different things that you can do when you're coding, they have tested that with Gemini 3, and as you can see, it's at the top again. And again, I reiterate, it feels smarter for me. Maybe it's just confirmation bias for me, but I don't know. Also, a big important note to take into account is that these model providers, they obviously want everyone to use their model, and when they release a new model, they make it use more tokens or use more compute. So they might be smarter in that first week after launch, so they get everyone in their boat and everyone using their models, and then they slowly reduce or drastically reduce the capabilities of the model. So, with time, they actually feel dumber than smarter, which is what we should ideally want. But just a note, after launch, these people make their models smarter by using more compute. Just saying. So yeah, after, reviewing the theory, let's go into practice and try a use case for coding with Claude 4.5 Sonnet and Gemini 3. So I was thinking about a use case that is like practical for many businesses, and also complicated enough to have little mistakes and easy enough to do in one or two prompts, right? So the thing that I came up with is this. So it's going to be an AI that does SQL query execution and then gets the data and responds. So basically, let me explain a little bit slower. We will have like a front-end chat input page. AI will have to code this, obviously. And we will have a database with like company data such as users, stock, tickets, and so on, right? So a user will be able to ask AI, how many customers are there paying right now? And the AI will think and say, okay, I need to make an SQL query to get that information. So it will create an SQL query and execute it on the database. And the database will just give the response, the data. And once it has the data and the user question, the AI will generate a natural language answer saying or responding like, oh, we have 20 customers that are paying. They have been, most of them have been here since January or whatever. So that's the goal. For that, I created this little prompt that contains my API key but I'm going to remove this obviously later. But basically it's just creating a small web app in the root directory and then, setting up a simple relational database, setting up a simple UI and a simple AI agent. But, when you have many simple things, things get complicated. That's what complexity is, right? So, basically explaining what I explained here to you guys to AI in a little prompt. So I run it in Google's IDE for coding, which is anti-gravity. I assume that Gemini models will work better here, so that's why I'm doing this. And yeah, so it created a little plan, and then I did the same in Claude Code here. So I pasted the same prompt here, and it created another plan here. So I think that plans are pretty similar. Also, I wanted to use like the best content, the best environment for each of the models, so it's like fair, because Gemini 3 probably works better in Google Anti-Gravity, and Claude Code probably works better in Claude Code. Like Sonnet 4.5, sorry, works better in Claude Code. So yeah, I created the plan first. Very similar plans in both. I'm not gonna review, I'm just gonna say go on. We reviewed the plan. This took like about 10 minutes for both sides, because they had to install some dependencies and so on, so that takes a bit of time, but it was pretty quick because it's still a pretty simple thing to do. So let's first review the Google version. Okay, we have the implementation plan. It first, it did some file edits. It started, as I said, a simple front end. It just did HTML and CSS and JS, normal vanilla files. But I was like, okay, I was looking at the Cloud version at the same time, and I saw that, well, I can see the execution set, or yeah, I can. I saw that it was trying React with Tailwind. So, to be fair and to be like the best comparison possible, I asked Google, the Google version, to use Tailwind CSS as well. So, they both did a pretty good job. Now we can go and test them. They both did a pretty good job, to be honest. And They implemented a database that is like with mock data. They implemented a React front end very well. And the AI with the prompt and everything. So yeah, let's close all of these tabs. I just wanted to, this is the main React app, as you can see. And yeah, I mean, they both did a pretty good job. They installed the dependencies. We have all the assets as well. Well, some of these are maybe old. And yeah, I mean, this is the main file. It also created a test to see if it works. That's always good. This is the database with some SQL queries and so on. And yeah, I mean, looking pretty good. Let's see if it works on the first run. I think that it does because I kind of tested it a bit. But yeah, and then on the Claude side, it did a similar job again. We have the client with different React components and so on, and we have the backend or the server as well with some JS and database. So let's just run it and see what it does, right? So they both gave me some instructions to run, which is always good. First, I had to do npm install, which I did on the backend and the front end, and then npm run server on the backend, I think. Um, so if we run this, well, yeah, I have to do npm run server on the client. So if I do both, and then I do the same here, well, the equivalent, obviously, which is opening this. I also like the UI of the Google version more because it's more like cursor. It's not a CLI. I think that Google has its own CLI, but I haven't tested it, to be honest. But yeah, I also did npm run build here, and now I'm going to start the server. It runs on port 8000. So if we open it, boom, that's it. It's working. We can test it. So great. The UI is, well, it has a bit of glass morphism, I think. Not sure, but yeah. And then on the Claude side, it looks like it's running, but there's a problem with Tailwind CSS, I think. Okay, so we just go and paste it here. But yeah, I think that the Gemini 3 model, especially on this anti-gravity IDE, it has very good tools to test. I think that Google has been able to refine that testing step a little bit more and a little bit better. So I wanted to show this as well. Can you open a browser and try it? Because I think that it's able to do this. I was trying this the other day, and it just automatically opened a browser. See, yeah, it opens a browser, and it opens a browser on your computer, and it does clicks and asks questions and so on to see if it works and to see what errors it gets. So that's pretty crazy, to be honest. Because see, it click there. How many customers do we have? It types it, and now it has to send. Let's see. Boom. Clicks on send. The AI creates the SQL query and gets the data back. Boom. That's crazy to do because there were some MCP servers, such as Browser Tools MCP, that were doing this. And, it was a bit clunky, to be honest. It didn't really work well. But this is crazy. I've never seen this. And I love this, to be honest. So yeah. Also, it shows the capabilities of this model to click and use browsers, which is, as you can see, very good. It was pretty quick and precise. On the other hand, Claude here, I think that it has fixed the issue. Let's see. No, okay. It's even worse than expected with Claude. It seems maybe I have to rerun the client. I'm not sure. Okay, we have some more problems with Claude. I'm not trying to make Claude look bad, but um, let's just type or like send the image. This looks like a huge icon here. Fix it. It's probably an issue with Tailwind CSS, I think. Let's see what it does. Because it's loading the sizes wrong. So yeah, I mean, and it obviously also perfectly executed the code. So yeah, I love this. Let's see. Let's make while Claude does that. Let's make another test. What product has given the most revenue? Not sure if we have product and revenue information. Okay, looks like we do. And it also shows the SQL query that we made. Select product's name. It sums. Okay, great. It sums the price and multiplies the price times the quantity of items sold, obviously, and it gets the total revenue. And well, I mean, I'm not gonna explain the SQL in depth, but basically, it did it counted all the items and the revenue, like the price of each item, and yeah, I mean, it got laptop with the highest total revenue, so that's great. Now let's see if, on the other hand, this works or not. Nothing too important. I'm not trying to make Claude look bad, but I think that, Gemini, since it has these testing tools, it just fails less often. So that's why, that's one of the differences here, right? So this is the version from Claude Code. It's very similar. Well, it's kind of similar to the Gemini version, but I think that the Gemini version overall looks better put, looks better. In terms of UI, let's see if the backend and everything actually works. So let's make the same questions here as, let me open this, right? Okay, so how many customers do we have? And AI is, okay, and there's another issue. Oh. Okay, so let's fix this as well. I guess it works a lot worse than the Gemini version, to be honest. We have to create an assistant first. For some reason, Claude Code didn't realize that. So now we will have to rewrite that part of the code. Let's see. It has some system prompt. But yeah, it wasn't using Assistant's API correctly, I think. Now it wrote the index again. And it's also using GPT-4o Mini, which is an old version. I think that Gemini picked an old version as well. I think that Gemini picked 4o as well, so, but yeah. Okay, now let's restart. Hopefully it's fixed, but it's giving me a lot more headaches. Okay. And let's copy the question. How many customers do we have? Okay, nice. Works. total of 5 customers. It also shows the SQL query executed. Very similar. Well, obviously the same. Well, practically same. SQL query executed. Nice. Now let's do this. I think that functionality wise, they should both work. As you can see, Claude took a little bit more. Laptop with total revenue of 1,000. This could be because of the dummy data that each AI decided to implement in the database. That's why the total revenue is different, obviously. But it works well. Nice. It's also curious that in both cases they picked laptop as an item to sell, and it was also the one that had the most revenue. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, let's do a final test. So try to make UI look better with glass morphism. This glass morphism is a typical test that many people do when trying AIs to code UI. So to go like how a page looks. So we'll see how they decide to design this. They usually fail miserably when adding glass morphism because you have to control transparency very well, and it depends. The amount of transparency depends on what is behind the element and so on, and it usually ends up with some element with text that cannot be read. But let's see. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, this kind of glass morphism, but I don't really like the gradient here. Also, it didn't implement chat history, which, okay, it makes sense, but different items do we have? Just to see. Okay, yeah, I mean, I kind of like the glass morphism itself here. It looks like Apple a little bit, right? So that's good. Okay, that was a weird UI thing here. When I kind of like it here. Let's see what Google does. I have to accept the changes. And this is the Google version. Let's refresh to see. Okay. Which one do you like most? I think that the Google version looks better, especially because this gradient here is like this color gradient here at the back is pretty obnoxious, to be honest. It's like too much. It should have been less, like a bit more relaxed. Okay, let's ask something like this again. Yeah, the shadows here are fine. I like it. This is not transparent, but whatever. We have 7 different items. Nice. It didn't list the items. List them. Let's see if the AI actually works for that. Okay, nice. Executes. Oh, okay, nice. We have laptop, mouse, keyboard, coffee mug, water bottle. Okay. I still like UI from Gemini 3 a bit more too. So yeah, in general, I think that Gemini 3 just works better overall. It also has very, very interesting tools such as Nano Banana, which I will maybe mention a bit more in depth in other videos. But yeah, I think that it's a fantastic model. I'm going to be using anti-gravity a lot for coding, to be honest. I really like it, especially that browsing feature. I love that. So yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, see you on the next video.